Hello everyone, my name is Shirley Araiza-Santhaya. I am a proud Hillsborough School District alumni, Glencoe class of 2015. I'm so happy to be back here at the Hillsborough School District and getting to be back in my old stomping grounds. It's always an inspiration to me to hear from educators and from administrators and staff who invest so much in our students, who invested in me and I know are continuing to do that. I'm very happy to be able to work around these areas within my career now, and I want to demonstrate hopefully that any student who comes from, like in particular, any underprivileged background or any kind of difficult circumstance can and is capable of doing anything that they set their mind to. And it is because the investment of the time and the care of our educators that we are where we are today, demonstrating what this investment can mean for not only our future but the future of our community, to continue putting our best effort in investing in that. The investment in education isn't, something short-term. It's a long-term investment and incalculable benefits to it. And I'm just very, very thankful to be back here. My name is Shirley Araiza, and I am proud to be HSD.
First of all, welcome and thank you for being here. Before we get started with our agenda and our program, I did want to give us an opportunity to quiet down and hear the very talented a cappella choir from Liberty High School under the direction of Anna Wickley, which is right there. So you want to introduce what's going to be happening here?
Absolutely.
All right.
The first piece we'll sing for you is actually a Liberty alma mater that was composed last year by Emma Jones. The school is new enough that we didn't have a school song. And so I gave her some examples, both musically and textually, of what an alma mater would sound like and what the text would represent. And she came up with this fantastic alma mater for Liberty High School.
O liberty, your grace surpasses all. A home to every fountain, and answer when we call. O proud and mighty liberty, our heart, our soul, our core, may falcons always strive here, may you stand forevermore.
And if you would join us for the singing of our national anthem, there's a flag right there.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, thank you so much for getting up early. I know I I don't know about you all, but I don't sound like this at 7. I don't sound like this anytime. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us this morning. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Mike Scott. I'm the superintendent of the Hillsborough School District, and thank you all for being here today. We really appreciate your participation. We were kind of wondering the day before spring break what's that going to look like attendance-wise, but good to see that we've got a great turnout here today. We're going to start with just some introductions. So I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself and your connection to the school district. So there are a lot of people here, so I'm going to have to say this nicely. We don't need your life story. We just need your name and your connection to the district. And we'll start with Matt.
Matt Brennan, I'm a Glencoe alum and work for the Hillsborough Schools Foundation. Harvey Berkey, have 2 daughters that graduated from the Hillsborough Schools, and I serve on the board of the Hillsborough Schools Foundation.
Jerry Willey, County Commissioner, District 4, so this is my district, and also former Mayor of Hillsborough.
I'm the police chief in Hillsborough, and we have an amazing partnership with the district.
I'm Robbie Hammond. I'm the interim city manager for the city of Hillsborough. 3 children that go to Jackson Elementary School, and my wife substitute teaches as well.
I'm Isaac Chin. I'm a student at Century High School, and I'm a student barista at the Ground Up Coffee.
My name is Kobe Sue. I'm also a student, but I go to Hill High, and I'm also a barista for the Ground Up Coffee Shop.
I'm Jonathan. I'm a junior at Hillsborough High School.
Also from the grad school career specialist at Hillsborough High School.
Hi, my name is Shirley, and I'm a Glencoe High School.
My name is John Hampton. I'm the director and one of the co-owners of Primrose School of Hillsborough, and we're hoping to do a connection with Hillsborough School District.
Daniel Ritter. I'm with the city of Hillsborough, working in economic development and doing quite a bit with the school district along those lines.
Yo soy Marlene, soy miembro del PAC del distrito. Tengo hijos en la Universidad Estatal de Portland y otros 2, uno en Poynter y el otro en Woodbury.
My name is Marlene. I'm a member of the Hillsborough School District PAC. I'm also a mom to a student that goes to Portland State University and at Woodbury Elementary School.
Stephanie Hampton, co-owner of a private school here in Hillsborough and a student in Quinton.
I'm Elisa Joy Payne. I'm the executive director of Hillsborough Dental Partnership, and I'm on the Career and College Pathways Steering Committee.
Good morning, I'm Janine Solomon. I am a mom of Liberty grads, former school board member and current state rep for House District 30, which is this area here.
Good morning, I'm Erin Carlson, mother of 2 proud Century alums, and I'm the executive director of the Hillsborough Schools Foundation.
I'm Marvin. I'm a member of the ACT and also a student at Century High School.
I'm Mia, and I'm a student at Century, as well as a student intern for the communications department and a member of the NICE.
I'm Jana Marie Ellison. I'm a mother of 5 in and out of the system now. I'm also a member of the Hillsborough Stake for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Hi, my name is April Davis. I'm here representing the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as the Public Affairs Director. I also have connections with Davis Toole, who's highly interested in the CTE programs.
Charlie Hopewell, representing actually North Plains. It's that community right out over there. Active participant in CTE STEM education, and I'm a member of the CTE STEM Employer Coalition for the state of Oregon.
John Niebergall, I work with Northwest Regional ESD and with CTE teachers in the area.
I'm Donna Satterley. I work with EJ at Hillsborough Downtown Partnership. My connection to the school district are my kids are 3rd generation alums from Hillsborough High School, and I've got a couple family members who teach and student teach in the school district.
I'm Leticia Aguilar, and I'm with Adelante Mujeres, and we have our Chicas Youth Development Program here in Hillsborough School District.
Kim Stralchin, I serve on the school board and Glencoe Mom alum.
Michelle Morrison, Chief Financial Officer here in Hillsborough.
I'm Teresa Nascenti. I work for the City of Hillsborough at the Public Library. I'm a student success librarian, and I have a high schooler at Liberty and a 5th grader at Glencoe.
And I'm Elizabeth Lopez, and I work also for the City of Hillsborough at the library, and I'm the supervisor for our literacy initiatives, and we're a partner of HSD.
Hi, my name is Araceli Mendez, and I'm also with Adelante Mujeres to the Chicas program.
Ina Carlson, a graduate of Hill High on the budget committee, but most importantly, I have a senior who's graduating out of Hill High in June.
I'm Olivia out here, Hillsborough City Councilor. I'm very pleased. You guys work very hard, and the students too. I'm looking to start my research next term on Hillsborough School District and looking at students and pre-college prep, so I'm really excited to be here and learn.
Gina Roletto, a parent. I have Glencoe senior, an 8th grader, and a 3rd grader at Lincoln Street. I was also a school administrator in Portland Public Schools, and I taught here for 13 years.
Amy Kilpatrick, parent. I have an 8th grader at Pointer and a 5th grader at Newberry. I'm also a member of the Newberry nonprofit, the Newberry Community Chorale, and I also teach all after-school dance clubs and yearbook.
I'm Shannon Rennie, and I'm the instructional coach at Century High School.
I'm Kelly Sayer, and I'm a parent times 4, and I substitute and I do home instruction for the school district.
Jessica Ackerman is a passionate teacher for career technical education and early childhood.
I'm Elaine Fox, and I'm the Executive Director of Student Services here at Hillsborough.
And I'm Wendy Ramos, and I'm the Director of Student Services in Hillsborough.
Jill Golay, Union President for the Certified Teachers here in Hillsborough.
Hi, good morning. My name is Alice Phillips. I'm with Oregon State University Extension Service here in Washington County, and we have programs throughout the Hillsborough School District.
My name is Sheehan Kim. I'm a former 3rd grade teacher, a member of the Curriculum Advisory Committee, and also a candidate for Hillsborough School Board.
Good morning, my name is Beach Pace. I'm the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters, and we have the honor of providing mentors to some students here at HSD. I'm also Hillsborough's newest city councilor, and I want to thank you, Superintendent Scott. I also have a 14-year-old at Evergreen who has informed me she knows everything. So you
Adam Stewart, the Capital Projects Officer for the school district.
Naomi Brown, Program Director for a grant ran in the school district called We Owe It. The name of the grant itself is Next Gen, and so I'm the Program Director for that. And so I work with the students that are finishing up school here in the school district and those that have graduated. So our main focus is career and technical training. We also partner with Centro out there with our services. So thank you.
I'm Beth Grazer. I'm the Chief Communications Officer here at the Hillsborough School District. I'm a Glencoe alum, and I have 4 sons, all of whom went through the Hillsborough School District as well.
I'm Katie Willis. I work in communications. I have 2 girls, one at Glencoe and one at Pointer, soon to be Liberty and Pointer.
My name is Marta Mendez. I'm communications translator / interpreter. Mi nombre es Marta Mendez. Soy la intérprete y traductora de comunicaciones.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brooke Nova. I'm the coordinator of Career and College Pathways here in the Hillsborough School District. So thank you so much of who everyone's noted how much they're enthusiastic about CT in our programs. Thank you for that. I also have a 3rd grader at Patterson Elementary and a Hillsborough High School alumni.
My name is Omar Rivera. I am the multimedia specialist here at the school district. I'm also a Century High School alum, and I'm also currently a student studying for my master's in multimedia journalism at the University of Oregon.
And I'm Justin Airy. I'm the district's webmaster and work in the communications department.
I'm Karen Seguenza. I'm the marketing specialist for The Bond, and I have 2 boys who went through Jackson, Evergreen, and Glencoe.
Very good. Welcome, everybody. As a former middle school teacher and principal, I relate so well to Beach's mommy. That is awesome. All right, so here's what we're covering today. run through the agenda really quick. We want to give you some background on the developing budget situation that's happening in the state of Oregon for K12 funding. So we're going to be talking a little bit about some legislative work that's happening, some advocacy that's going on, and how you can assist with that. We also want to give you a bond update. As you may remember, about a year and a half ago, we passed a $408 million bond, and we've made steady progress on that. The summer of 2019 is guaranteed to be an exciting one with this bond work. And so Adam is going to be giving us an update on that. Stimulating game of bond bingo. Yeah, you'll want to move right to the front of your seats for that one. Student achievement overview, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then the great part is we get to start hearing from some students, and that's always the highlight of these events. And we also want to get your input on a few items as well. So again, thanks for being here, and we will go ahead and just move into the agenda. I wanted to start by showing, I think I can do this from here, yes? Maybe. Maybe.
We'll get it from back here.
That might be better. So this video you're going to see, it's a very short video, but it's about the work that the Joint Committee on Student Success has been doing throughout the state of Oregon. And here it is. Go ahead.
Education is the most important part.
You know, the American dream is, I want to make a better life for my kid. Education is the most important part of that.
Right now in Oregon, we're graduating at about 77%. So 1 in 4 of our students is not making it across the finish line. Our schools need to be fully and adequately funded.
Somehow we've got to figure out in Oregon how to fix our revenue system and take a step forward as a society.
Welcome this evening to this traveling show we call the Joint Committee on Student Success.
I don't recall in my legislative career a group of legislators, Democrat and Republican, House and Senate, going to every part of Oregon to try to learn from the teachers, the students, the parents, the administrators, the general public about schools in all corners of the state.
We expect every kid to graduate with the opportunities to define who they want to be.
Even if one student were to not be successful, I feel like we failed.
This is do or die time. This is do or die time.
Bottom line, I'm asking you to save us.
We wanted to show that video just as an introduction to give you some insight into the legislative work that's being done and the importance of that work as we look at funding K-12 schools for the next 2 years, for the next biennium. As you're probably aware, the legislative session kicked off in January, and that is set to conclude by June 30th, maybe before. Janine, maybe before? Maybe before. We'll see how that goes. And in our estimation, the most important work that the legislature can do is to come up with a K-12 budget that is going to fund our schools in an adequate way, in an adequate and sustainable way. And as you see the bullet point there, K-12 funding used to receive 45% of the state budget, and that has dwindled over the last several years to the point now where K-12 funding is receiving 39% of the state budget. So that's a pretty simple math problem. If we are receiving less of the state budget on an annual basis, then there's going to be reductions that have to be made to stay with, so that we can live within our means. And that has been a challenge, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that. I would encourage you to, and there's going to be some information up here a little bit later, but I would encourage you to reach out to a legislator and have a conversation with them, send an email to them, send a letter to them. We have heard over and over again from legislators, it's great when you come and talk to us, talking about school board members and talking about superintendents or district staff, but what they value more than anything are community members who are coming and sharing their stories about the impact of funding on their students' experience or on the schools in their community. So I can't emphasize enough the importance of talking to legislators directly or reaching out to them and sharing your experience. That's something that they're always seeking and that they value tremendously. A few things. So our budget, as with other school budgets in the state of Oregon, about 82%, actually over 82% of our budget is spent on salary and benefits. We are a people-intensive business. We don't make things. We educate students, and that requires humans to do that. So over 82% of our budget is spent on salary and benefits. Years ago, probably 25 years ago now, Measure 5 changed the way that funding in the state of Oregon was done. And since that time, we have been on this roller coaster of funding in the state of Oregon, where there's been some up years, there's been lots of down. Mostly this roller coaster goes down, is the way that it's played out for us. But there hasn't been a stable funding source in years and years, which puts us on this roller coaster and makes us have to revamp our budget on a biennial basis and to figure out what reductions are going to have to be made, what is it that we are going to try and sustain, and we're doing that every 2 years at this point. You'll see that districts around us, a lot of districts around us, they've chosen to do a local option levy. And what that means is that the citizens basically vote to tax themselves at a higher level so that you can have greater input of dollars into the local system. Hillsborough has not done that yet, but I can tell you that there's a lot of conversation around that. We are hoping that the legislature is able to come up with a funding package that won't make that necessary, but I can also tell you that school board has had a lot of conversations around that, and we'll see how that plays out over the next year or so. All right, this is a terrible chart, is what this is. So I used to blame Adam Stewart, our CFO, our former CFO, for this because it corresponds with the exact time that he started in the district when all the reductions started. But he's quick to remind me, hey, that's the same year you started. So, so I never say that anymore. But what you'll see here is over the last 10, 11 years that there have been steady reductions over and over and over again, to the point that there's only been 2 years where we have not made those reductions during this block of time that you see here. The roll-up cost, if we would have been able to roll up what we were currently doing in the system from year to year to year, we would have an additional $63 million in our system if we were just to have been able to roll those same things that we were doing up year after year. That obviously hasn't been the case, so the net impact of that is we have approximately $64 million less in our system to be doing the work that we are trying to accomplish. And you can see the last 3 years alone, it's over $13 million of reductions that are taking place. The other interesting thing about this chart, and the one that sometimes gets lost in this, there's been a net reduction of 18 days throughout this span of time. So if you think about an average work month is 20 days in a month, that's the same with an average school month, 20 instructional days in a month. Our students who have been participating in our system during this time has received approximately 1 less month of education than they would have if we hadn't been experiencing these reductions. So pretty significant impact on our students. Kim Strelchin oftentimes says that students that have been experiencing education during this period of time, they have never had a librarian in their schools, a licensed librarian in their schools. They have never had counselors funded at the level that they should be. They have seen class sizes edge up over time. So that has been the experience of our students over the last 10, 11 years. And really our students that have been in school during that time, they know nothing different than that. And it's, you know, I oftentimes say that students have one opportunity to go through our system. The students that have been going through it this time, their opportunity has been diminished because of the funding situation we found ourselves in. All right, so For us, you can see the fund. I'm just going to let you read this for a second, and then I'm going to comment on it a little bit. Okay, I can't help myself. That's long enough. So in Oregon, oftentimes it's typically the case where the governor's budget that is rolled out is the low water mark in the state, and then K12 funding bumps up from there. This time around, that did not happen. The governor's budget came out at $8.972 billion, and the co-chair's budget came out at $8.87 billion. So that was a red flag for a lot of us who pay attention to this work, that there's going to have to be a lot of interaction taking place with our legislators, a lot of lobbying taking place, a lot of education taking place to get that number to bump up to a level where we are not going to need to make reductions again. You would see there's something called the quality education model, and that's a model that was done years and years ago, that if education were funded adequately, it would take $10.77 billion to make that impact in the system. Oops. Okay, this is just a pretty simple graphic. For us, if you look at the yellow dot in the middle, that's the amount of funding that would need to happen in order for Hillsborough not to make any reductions this next school year. Okay? It would take $9.462 billion. The governor's budget, remember, is at $8.972 billion, and the co-chair's budget, $8.87 billion. If you can read below the red dot and the purple dot there, and you can see some equivalencies there. If we were to make those reductions, if we were to reduce $7.3 million out of the next biennium, and we were to take that purely out of classroom teachers, if that's where all the reductions take place, then it would be a loss of 82 teachers in order to do that. If we were instead to say that we are going to reduce school days in order to make that happen, that would be 21 school days less in order to make that happen. So that's at the governor's budget. If it were the co-chair's budget, which is a little bit worse, you would see that that would be a loss of 98 teachers, and it would be a loss of 25 school days. We included a chart for you in your packet here. I saw some of you taking pictures with your phone, but there is a chart that mimics this. And if that's something that helps you communicate well with your legislators, we would encourage you to take that, use some of those facts there, and draft your letters. So you're probably sitting here asking, how can you help? And we just happen to have a slide. Here's how you can help. So one of the first things that you can do is you can stay informed. And Beth and her team, they keep our budget. There's a page on our, what's it called? Budget Matters. Yes, Budget Matters portion of our website that is up to date on all of this and has a lot of facts that will help you. Again, I can't emphasize enough, connect with your elected officials. Go down to Salem, go to their town halls, reach out to them individually. We're very fortunate in Hillsborough that we have a group of legislators that are very responsive and they are very accessible to us. That has been very helpful for us to be able to have their ear on a regular basis. There's a number of lobbying days coming up, and there'll be information on the website about that as well. I think more than anything, helping the people that aren't in this room understand the situation that we're in and the reductions that would have to take place if we don't get more adequate funding as we move into next year. I think that's important work as well, just spreading the word about the need for K12 funding and to increase the portion of the pie that K12 has and to come up with a stable funding source that puts us on this road where we're not experiencing the roller coaster effect from year to year. Kim?
I would just add, school board has been going out and presenting kind of a representative to parents of our organization. If you have a business or another organization that you would like us to come out and share this message, how we got here and what we're doing, we're happy to come out and do that. You can just leave a note today. And we understand that 70% of people who live in our community aren't connected to K12. So it's really important for us to share our message far and wide, and so we're happy to come out and help in any way we can to inform your partners.
Can I just add that the impact of not, like if we had to cut another 3 weeks or something, that also is a financial impact to the community because those way people don't have the jobs to spend the money, and then the kids need care.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's the entire community.
In fact, I should have gone a little more in depth to that. If we reduce the number of school days, that means the teachers aren't getting paid, right? That's the way you save that money. And so that should be an apparent point, but I'm glad you mentioned that because it is a huge impact on the community. If those dollars aren't going out to staff members, to the over 2,000 staff members that we have, then that money is also not being circulated in the community at businesses and stores and that kind of thing. Thank you. All right. Any questions or comments on this that we might be able to? Nina?
I just have one question. With if the governor goes and gets her additional money, I hear that there are strings attached to that money or targeted programs.
Correct.
Will that be easy for us to
Maneuver within? Yeah.
And will those programs or those earmarks be things that we can pull out of our general, or backfill with our general fund?
Right.
That we actually already like to do?
Great question. So yes, there are strings attached to. It feels like any additional money anymore that comes from the state, it is targeted. I think that's a nicer way of saying than strings attached. It's targeted. How am I doing, Janine? Is that better?
I said targeted before you.
Okay, good. So it is definitely targeted. Some of those buckets would include lowering class size at the primary level. It would include in increasing the school year, which is ironic when you see our slide there. It would be increasing the number of days. So those are things that we could do depending on when that money becomes available. One of our concerns is that even if the legislature were to pass a budget that is education friendly and does great work and is going to be a net positive effect over years moving forward, it's very likely that it will be referred and has to be voted on. And then if it passes, then the collection period would have to take place. So we are very concerned about 2019-20 next school year for sure, with the hope that there will be sustainable funding moving forward after that. It's probably it's unlikely that we won't see reductions for the very next school year. There is some hope moving into the school year after that, and definitely the one after that, where we could have additional dollars come into the system if the funding package is adequate. So yes, we would be able to. We'll make some reductions, and we've been working for the last couple of weeks on what those reductions would look like. The first draft of that will be shared with the board and the budget committee on April 9th. And then there will be a pathway, if additional money becomes available, to make some corrections to that in those targeted areas. Yeah?
Is this going to affect or decrease CTE and dual credit options for students?
Well, I think it impacts everything. We are looking at, as we're putting together our draft of reductions, we're looking across the board, but it is hard to wholly protect any one thing. When you look at if we're cutting over $17 million, we've got to look at everything. So it sounds like a very political answer, like I'm not answering it, but the truth of the matter is everything will be impacted to some degree. There are some targeted funds that would protect some items to a larger degree. CTE would be one of those. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the student population growth over those last 10 years, or is there a number for like the amount broken down per student?
Yeah.
That's probably going down, even if.
Yeah, so that is basically what happens is the number of dollars allocated per student, and then you have to think about as student enrollment grows throughout the state, you're getting proportionally less of that. I can't do our enrollment off the top of my head. We've been pretty flat for the last 3 years or so, but if you look at South Hillsborough and the 6,000 homes that'll be built out there, it's pretty clear that we're going to be ramping up here in the near future. But it is the dollars per student that is the biggest predictor of how much we're going to have in our system. I just can't do it off the top of my head. Yeah. All right, I'm getting the sign. I got to move on, so I'm going to move us on here. Oh yes, Shirley. So Shirley was a shining star in the Hillsborough School District, and we are so glad that she is back in town. She's currently working for Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici, and she is the district representative in our area, and just so glad that she is here. She was incredibly involved with the Hillsborough School District as a student, and an opportunity for her to share this morning of the work that's going on at the federal level. So, Shirley?
I was at a CTE conference in Tiger, and one of the students said that they imagined themselves talking on a podium, and I can say the same. So, first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to the Hillsborough School District for inviting me back to my old stomping grounds. Very quickly, I just want to read a letter from my boss, who unfortunately isn't here today. Dear community members, thank you for coming to the Hillsborough School District Spring Summit. I regret not being able to join you in person today. Public education is the main reason why I ran for the state legislature and eventually Congress. My youngest child was born the year Measure 5 passed. As a mom, I saw what that meant for schools in my community. Broken playground equipment, larger classes, not enough supplies, fewer art, music, and PE classes. In Congress, I served on the Education Committee, where we rewrote No Child Left Behind. The replacement, the Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA, places more focus on local decision-making. ESSA is designed to reduce the high-stakes testing that stifled teaching and learning by calling for fewer, better assessments. The law included my provision to streamline testing so educators can focus more time teaching students how to learn, not how to take tests. I also successfully added language to encourage interdisciplinary education programs through STEAM, the incorporation of arts and design into science, engineering, and math courses. I am also a strong proponent of career and technical education so students have hands-on learning experiences. I've served in Congress for 7 years now, and strengthening our public schools and providing equitable access to opportunity has continued to be a priority for me. As the chair of the Education Committee's new Civil Rights and Human Services Subcommittee, I will continue to advocate for students to receive a well-rounded and high-quality education, and to break the cycle of disparate outcomes for students from underprivileged backgrounds and students of color, who have systemically been underserved in our education system. I look forward to updating the Higher Education Act to give students additional opportunities once they have left the K12 system. It is critical that we address the chronic underfunding of our schools. An investment in our students is a positive force for good, not only for them, but for our state and our country. I will continue to be a partner in this fight for our students and schools. It is an honor to represent you in the United States Congress. Sincerely, Suzanne Bonamici.
Yes.
No? Am I just talking into this microphone and it's not on? Whoopsies. It's morning. Like I said, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for having me back here at the Hillsborough School District. I used to be an intern here, so it's really nice to get to be back here and spend time here in Hillsborough. So as many of you know, I am a proud Hillsborough School District alumni. I attended Newberry and Jackson Elementary, EveryBuild Middle School, and Glencoe High School, and I graduated in 2015. I am returning back to Oregon after spending nearly 4 years in Washington, D.C. studying at the American University. And I'm really fortunate to get to return home, to be closer to my family, and to work around issues facing my community, in particular education and workforce issues, and military defense contracting within my portfolio. I have a unique understanding in this role with Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici, because I know a lot of the challenges that face students who attend schools in the 1st Congressional District. I grew up in a working class family with parents who were immigrants from small towns in Jalisco and Oaxaca, Mexico. Like a lot of first-generation students, my siblings and I spent a lot of time translating and acting as a liaison for my folks who didn't necessarily understand what the education system looked like in the United States. However, they always encouraged us to try our best and always reminded us that it is important to do our best to invest in ourselves through our education, and to always, always respect our teachers and those who took the time to invest in us. These were really formative challenges that shaped my outlook today, and I was fortunate, and coming back from DC, I have really come to understand how fortunate I was to go to a school system where so many educators invested time in me knowing these facts about me. I can look at people like Mrs. Nova, who spent so much time and an endless amount helping me find opportunities and trying to find a good path for me after I left the Hillsborough School District. And to all of the teachers who were particularly patient with me throughout my time at the Hillsborough School District and who had a lot of patience with me, even though I understand now how pressed for time and resources they were. And even the educators who were skeptical of me, because it made me want to work that much harder to prove them. Their investment and the encouragement of my family is why I am where I am today. In my work now, I hear a lot from the urgency of educators, students, and parents. And it can be difficult working on the federal side just because so much of education is handled on the state and local level. However, I am always inspired every day by their selflessness. In this position, I hope that I can at least have somewhat of an opportunity to uplift the voices of educators, students, and parents, in particular for the students who face challenges similar to mine, and even students who may be facing even greater hurdles in their day-to-day lives. Forming policy is very important. However, we need to hear from the people who are actually on the ground and who know what this stuff looks like on the day-to-day in order to form good, effective policy. I'm a huge believer in public education because I am a product of public education. It is the investment that you all made in me that I was able to get to where I am today. However, we need to make sure that we are continuously investing in our students because at the end of the day, they are our future. And irregardless of the skill set, the background, or the interest of the student, you know that they will be making a difference somewhere. Please keep going forward and pushing to have your voices heard. We need to hear from you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Okay. I'm Adam Stewart. I'm the Capital Projects Officer for the Hillsborough School District, and I'm going to talk about some good news. Mike used to introduce me or talk about me after I would give a depressing budget conversation and say your career as a motivational speaker is probably not going to work out, and now I get to say it back to him. All right, I want to cover some of the great things that our bond has already done and things that we're about to do. So I'm going to show you first a list of projects from last school year, last summer primarily, that we were able to accomplish. Flexible new furniture in all of the classrooms at those 11 elementary schools. Playground replacements at those 4 schools. Parent bus drop-off improvements at those 3 schools. Boom, complete. We replaced portable buildings with modular buildings at those 4 schools. We replaced roofs at those 3 schools. We have a new secure entry vestibule at Century High School, the first of many coming. Security cameras are in the process right now. We have and then some miscellaneous stuff. Brown Middle School got a new boiler, hooray. Ladacre's got some fencing. North Plains got a new portable that was relocated from Reedville Elementary School. Again, completed, boom. A big focus of our bond was around technology. We were able to put Chrome carts in all of our schools with a lot more technology on its way. Some schools have also received what we call our Tech Enhanced Classroom project, which includes projectors, sound systems, wireless access. So those are on the way for every classroom in the district. Yay. New synthetic turf fields with lights at Glencoe and Hill High. Hill High also has a track now. And we are weeks away from the Century turf field being ready for students. Boom, complete. And our big project from last summer was the remodel of Reedville Elementary School. And I can't let this go without once again thanking the Reedville staff for their patience with us. It was a long process, and they remained very optimistic throughout, and we ended up having a beautiful new place for those kids. We had a welcome back to school event actually in January where we were able to actually cut the ribbon on this. So that is the Reedville Elementary School student body. thanking the community. So these are the projects we have coming up this year. We have the remainder of our elementary schools getting their furniture. We have new gyms. You'll remember that part of the bond was the elimination of what we called our gym-cafetoriums, where we had gyms and cafeterias kind of cohabitating in a single space that isn't ideal. So the first of our new gyms are going in at Eastwood, Newberry, and North Plains. North Plains will actually start in the fall. The other two will be starting here within a matter of days. We have parent bus drop-off improvements going on at Jackson, Lennox, and North Plains. And then we have big improvement projects happening at Brown Middle School, Eastwood Elementary School, that would include the gym and the modular and a new playground, the Hillsborough Big Picture campus, Lennox Elementary School, Minter Bridge is getting their interior walls done this summer, Newberry, again, the gym, modular playground, Pointer Middle School, and West Union. In addition, we are starting the construction of the new Brookwood Elementary School. The Century Turf Field this is actually a picture from a couple of weeks ago when they had what they call the E-layer down without the turf on. Turf's going on right now. We're also putting in a new CTE building for their early childhood program. Evergreen Middle School is getting expanded to add capacity for 200 additional students. That will include a new media center area, some new classrooms, remodeling the old library into new classrooms. We're going to remodel the commons area, expand the lunch serving area, and put some solar tubes in hallways to brighten up the interior of that building. And then I think our biggest project is Glencoe High School. We are adding capacity to Glencoe to accommodate up to 400 additional students. It will include a new media center. This is actually the front of the building, the main entrance right now. A new building there that will be a media center on the second floor, the classroom space down below, a new commons area that will connect the cafeteria to the main building, a new weight room on the outside of the building, and then remodeling of the interior spaces. The old library space will be converted to classroom space, and then we're upgrading many of the CTE areas at Glencoe. In addition to the new turf field we put in there last year. And we'll be reconfiguring both the south parking lot, that'll happen this summer, and the north parking lot. And we're adding a traffic signal to Glencoe Road on that north parking lot area. So hopefully improving the traffic flow along Glencoe Road in the morning and afternoon. Hillsborough High School, we're not adding capacity there, but we're doing a major remodel to basically make those classroom environments better. We're changing out the old lighting, we're putting in new flooring, we're putting solar tubes in the hallways, we're doing a new update to the commons area, the main entrance, the administration area, a new media center, not a new media center, upgrading the media center. So just trying to make that old building a newer, more inviting place for students. Liberty High School, we're actually putting in, a big focus of the bond is around safety and security. We're trying to design all of our schools so that the public has to enter in through the main office. You can't just, right now at Liberty, you walk into the building and you're kind of in the rotunda and you can go wherever you want. The idea is to require people to go in through the office before they can access the rest of the building. So this will be the entrance into the main office there. We're also adding a steel, what do we call that? Sustainable Agriculture, Sustainable Design program. That'll be on the back side of the campus over off the Jacobson Road. Oh, and then we're also breaking ground on our new transportation support services building. We have a transportation building kind of in the southwest corner of the district over off of Walnut. This will be a satellite building in the northeast corner of the district. Our existing facilities completely maxed out. We can't park one more bus there. This will allow us additional parking as well as facilities to work on the buses. It will also house some of our support services, and that is breaking ground this spring. We'll be ready to go for the start of the 2020 school year.
What is that road?
Jacobson Road. So Liberty High School is right here. So it's going to be a busy summer. It's going to be very exciting. You're going to see lots of stuff going on. We've been working hard with Ryan Petrick in our district to figure out how we're going to shuffle programs around. Obviously, with all this construction, we're going to have a lot of campuses that aren't available for some of the summer programming we would ordinarily do there. So we've been working hard to identify what those programs are and where we can relocate them for the summer. We keep trying to get people to remember this is going to be awesome when it's all done. It's uncomfortable while it's happening, but it's going to be beautiful. So we have a lot of information that James prepared on our Hillsborough-Bond website. You can also get to that from the district website. Just look for the bond button. And there's tons of information on there about what's happening at every building, what's happening year by year. We've got the staging plans and safety plans for every program. So just a lot of great information. And of course, you're always welcome to contact Jane or I with any questions. Yes, sir.
Maybe I'm stealing the thunder for the bingo game, but I know in other bond situations, because of the tariff situation that's occurred, the materials for the construction have been changed rather dramatically. So in general, where we sit today, where are we as a comparison of completion of planned products to the percentage of the bond that remains to complete?
We are, so the
are we
first
overspending
year,
or underspending?
we are, well, so we're over what we had in our original budget. The original bond was for $408 million.
Right.
The good news is when we sold the first round of bonds, we had intended to sell $320 million worth of bond in the first sale, which was back last December, a year ago December. We actually got a big bond premium of about $60 million. Meaning that instead of having to sell $320 million, investors were looking for what we were selling, and we only had to sell $268 million worth of bonds. So we have more than $408 million to spend, which is good news, because we have experienced increases both in tariff-related kind of things, but also just in the marketplace itself. Labor, just, there's a lot of work out there for not that many people. So, but in terms of where we are, will we be able to do everything we promised? Absolutely, and more. I think what you're seeing is, like at Reedville, the original scope of that project was significantly less than what we ended up doing. And I think that's the case in a lot of these older buildings. Once you get in there and start working, you find things that maybe you weren't anticipating. We're doing things like adding elevators in buildings that don't have them, like Reedville. So we're expanding the scope where we can, but being very mindful of the budget. So.
By the way, I just want to append that. Kudos and an applause from everybody. That is a monumental feat in this marketplace right now.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Well, we're a really good team, and yeah, we're focused on that primarily. We have to be able to do everything we promised because we're a growing district. We're going to have to do this again. We need to show that we're being good stewards. So. Any questions? I'm getting the sign. So again, feel free to contact us. Check out our website. Any questions? Please let us know. Thanks. Oh, what? I can.
Now we have a couple of very special guests, Morgan Ward from Glencoe High School and Jonathan Meredith from Hill High, who are just going to speak a little bit about the impact of the bond work that's taking place at their schools. So please feel free to stand up front and tell us a little bit about yourselves and the bond experience that you've had. If they're alive, yeah.
Yep. We can give you, you guys don't like the work.
Doesn't want it.
Hi. Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Morgan and I'm a senior from Glencoe High School.
So, my name is Jonathan and I'm a junior in Hillsborough High School.
Okay. First, I would like to say thank you to anyone in attendance who has worked on the bond measures over the previous years. The improvements that the bond has brought to Glencoe High School and our campus are both visible and beneficial. One of the most obvious improvements to date is the new turf field, obviously. I'm currently on the softball team, as you can see in the picture, and the number of games and practices that I've had to get canceled over the past 3 years has always been an issue, but thankfully to this new turf field, we don't have to deal with that. This past Tuesday, it was such a great feeling to walk out onto our new turf field and have perfect conditions to play a game. The turf isn't just a benefit for the sports teams, but it also allows our PE classes to go outside year-round. It's also available to the band, dance teams, and any other school group that wants it or needs it. And we as a student body are grateful for the improvement to the school and appreciate the work into getting it done. We know that there are other improvements planned for the school building, the classrooms, and the campus. Like said earlier, there's a weight room, cafeteria. It's expanding to add 400 more students. The school is a focal point in our community. It's a place where families, friends, and HSD staff can come together to celebrate milestones in kids' lives. We have great support from many of the local businesses who are always stepping in to sponsor and to donate to any of the activities that go on in the school. Without their continuing involvement, Glencoe would not be what it is today. In closing, thank you to everyone for your time, your efforts, your dollars, and your support. We at Glencoe appreciate you, and we appreciate the city of Hillsborough, so thank you.
So first of all, I want to thank,
Yeah, it isn't working.
So first of all, I want to thank everyone for making this bond possible. And then, as you guys saw, Hillsborough got a new turf and track this year, and that's made a huge impact for sports and then the community as well. Not just the school has a chance to enjoy as well as a community. And I actually had the opportunity to play in it. I had the opportunity to be one of the first people to play in it this year. I play soccer, and so that has made a huge impact for us. As well for the parents. Like before, many parents weren't able to attend because we didn't have stadium lights. So that kind of that would make the soccer team be held back and have games like earlier. Now, a lot of many more students, parents, and staff are able to attend because of the time the games are played now, as well as lacrosse teams. They also have the opportunity to play there. And then, as well as PE classes, they have the chance to go out there and run the mile. And like before, we would just go around the 10 score 4 times, but this time we actually have to go outside and run an actual mile. Before it was like 3/4 of one, so. And as well as it's just a great feeling knowing that you're getting benefited out of this, and not just the school as well as the community. They also get to go out there as well, because in the summer I was practicing, and I saw there was already like youth football going on and a lot of other stuff. So yeah, thank you for having me here. Thank you for making this possible.
It was awesome. Thank you. And thanks to our students for sharing their experience as well. A couple of things that I want to say as we transition to the next portion of our presentation here. First of all, you're hearing that we've got $408 million of bond money. Just a reminder, bond money cannot be spent on the problem that I laid out prior to that. The general fund and the operating budget for the district, very separate than the bond dollars, and there's laws around that. So even if we wanted to, and we do, we can't do that. So just as a reminder, I wanted to make that apparent. Also, we had a board member come in, Martin Granum has joined us. So, and then finally, I'd like to say, I try to never miss an opportunity to say, and Adam mentioned that we're building a new transportation center that's going to also house some of our support services. If you want to be a bus driver, have we got an opportunity for you? We're a little short on bus drivers right now. There's a big region-wide shortage. So see us afterwards if you're interested in driving a big yellow bus. That's right. It could be you. Because we're running a little late, I'm not going to go over this particular slide. But in your packet, there's a publication that gives you some insight into some key achievement indicators that we track on a regular basis. Instead, I'm going to just hit some of the highlights here. So one of the things that we wait for are graduation rates. They come out well after the students have finished up their experience, and by the time that's all put together, it's a little later. So we are right now, our on-time graduation rate is at 84.47%. And our completion rate, which is a little different than the grad rate, is almost 89%. And you'll see there that our graduation rates are almost 6%, or 6 percentage points higher than the state average. And that's particularly impressive if you look at this next chart. And I'm just going to tell you what's on here because this is quite a chart. But what this chart indicates for you is, just as a little backup, there is a direct correlation between graduation rates and the students and the student demographics, so the students that you serve. And so what is the mobility rate of the students that we serve? What percentage of students live in poverty? That's a big indicator as well. What students, English is their second language. That's a big indicator of graduation rates as well as a percentage of underserved racial and ethnic groups that make up our student demographics. So what this chart shows you is that the school district at the top, the Reynolds School District, if you look at two different columns here, the impact ratio, the first one, that shows you the districts that are most impacted by those student demographics that I just said. So things like poverty, things like mobility. The district at the top is the most impacted district on this chart. And you'll see that we're the fourth number down there. You'd also see if you go over to the percentage grad rate here, there should be a direct correlation between the impact on the students and the graduation rates. And you see, if you look at this chart really carefully, that the Hillsborough School District is bucking that trend. We're pretty highly impacted, the students that we serve are pretty highly impacted by those categories that I mentioned, but you'll see that our graduation rate is oftentimes, it's above those that are right around us, and it's oftentimes above those districts that are much less impacted than we are. If you look down, the lower the impact ratio, the further you get down the chart on the impact ratio, the less impacted those districts are. Slide over to the grad rates, and if the trend were to hold, they should be outperforming the Hillsborough School District with their grad rates. And you'll see that we've been able to buck this trend year after year after year. And that's something that we're really proud of. I have to say that right on the heels of that, I wonder what we could do if our budget wasn't shrinking every year. I wonder what we could do, because if we right now are at 84.47%, that still means that 15% of our students are not graduating. And if you look at the $65 million that we've reduced over the last 10, 11 years, what could we have done with that money to recapture that 15% that aren't making it? So I oftentimes ask myself, what could we have done and how could the student experience been different for those kids that we didn't get across the finish line if we had adequate funding to do that? So definitely a pride point for us. It's a pride point with an asterisk because I feel like if we had more adults in the system working with students that are highly impacted, we can do even better work. All right, a few more things. We do have a number of our students that are achieving the bilingual seal. We're very proud of the number of students that we have in our dual language program and the number of students that we have that are coming out of our school system fully bilingual, absolutely amazing. And the success that that sets them up for their future is it's going to mean great things for them. We continue to shrink our achievement gap. The achievement gap's something that you oftentimes hear about. You hear about it on OPB and you hear about it on NPR and you hear about it in the news. But for us, it's a very real thing. Basically, the achievement gap is how are students of color achieving compared to the white students in the district. And you can see that we continue to close that achievement gap. There's now only a 4.36 percentage point difference between our students of color, between our Latino students and our white students, and that gap continues to narrow. And we won't be satisfied until we fully close that gap and provide opportunities for all students in the same way that some of our students are experiencing it. 3,500 students completed CTE courses. We're going to hear from a couple of those students here in a minute. And the number of dual credits that our students are experiencing has saved them more than $1.4 million in college expenses. And some of the work behind that is really important, as not only are they just credits that are being achieved, but they're purposeful and deliberate credits that are going to set them up for success as they move into their college experience. All right.
Now we're going to hear from some more students. Yay! So we've got some students from a couple of our CTE programs that are here. We're going to move a table up and get rid of the screen so that it's not in their face. And they're going to tell you a little bit about their experience.
As they're transitioning, I just wanted to say, as I'm looking at this room, this is one of my very favorite events because I always think how lucky I am to live and work in the community of Hillsborough that strikes such a balance of being dreamers and doers. I just think that is so what our community is a foundation of, and I think about career and technical education and really what that is, right? We're setting up students to see their dreams, what types of career opportunities are ahead, but then also the doer of learning hands-on real-world experiences every day in their classrooms. So I think about all of you and the amazing work that you do, and then our future generation of Hillsborough. We're in good hands, and they're going to speak about their experiences this year in two of our newest opportunities. In your packet, we also highlight those opportunities through a one-pager on construction. Our construction program just started this year. You'll also be able to see some of the work that they're doing, as well as this is the Century Marketing and Business one-pager. And both Hill High and Century this year are in marketing lab experiences at Ground Up, which is an extension from this program. I do have to thank, every time I see her, Melissa Pendergrass, for helping to be that dreamer and doer with me on this project, and Round Up for taking my phone call one day and saying, okay, we'll meet and hear about what you're thinking. So it's amazing to see students coming out of these experiences and programs, so I'm going to let them start. And I have the questions for you. So the first one is just who you are and the program that you represent today.
Well, I'm Kobe Sue. I go to Hill High, and I'm actually part of the business and marketing pathway at Hill High. And I work at a coffee shop, but there's more than that. So basically, the coffee shop is an opportunity for business students like myself to not only apply the skills that we learn behind the scenes, but also interact with people and get real life experience through work, like just meeting people and such.
Yeah, and like I'm Isaac from Century High School, and I'm part of Super Reset Ground Up, and yeah, so I like just to elaborate off of what Kobe says. You know, I think Ground Up is, especially for the business career pathway. Miss Pena, hi, I didn't know you were here. Sorry, this is my fabulous marketing teacher. So the classroom can, it can really only do so much, right? And I think by having Ground Up as an opportunity, especially from just having just the student store at Century, sometimes students are bummers and they don't always visit. I love all of them though. Don't worry, I love all my customers. It's okay. Yeah, but especially like health restrictions and stuff like that too. Is like we can only sell like baked chips. The student store is just it's hey, I'm saying healthy life. It's good. I'm endorsing that. Don't worry. I had a salad yesterday from Olive Garden. No, but yeah. So really, I think by working at Ground Up, I can really just apply what I learned in the classroom to a real work center, especially with like my senior project, which is managing a product campaign for floral flavored drinks for spring. And I think working with like actual espresso machines and set customer demographic is very valuable and helps me branch out from just managing the student store.
And adding on to what he's talking about learning and applying our business skills, we did a project about an expansion of our program, and the great part is that us as students, we get to talk about kind of like a mock business, but it's like a real business. We get to talk about how we can grow a business and things like that and apply our skills. And we actually let off our own surveys, and we gathered our own primary data, things like that, to expand and talk about things that we can do to better our program. And I think that's the best part because as business students, we can get these like newer business students as well, and they can use these fresh new skills that they've learned in their marketing classes and actually apply it to the class.
Hi, my name is Salvo Hernandez. I'm a senior at Glencoe, and I'm part of the construction program this year.
My name is Daniel Montoya. I'm a senior at Glencoe High School, and I'm a part of the construction program as well.
And I'm Ben Lopez, and I'm a junior, and I'm also part of the construction class.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about some of the products that you brought today and what you have learned through that program so far?
Yes, so the projects we have today is tile setting, electrical, and roof framing. I myself have done electrical. I haven't had a chance to explore tile setting or roof framing. You guys?
I've not done any. I've done finished carpentry, wall framing, and concrete.
I've done electrical. And I haven't done any of the other two here, but I've done wall framing. And something interesting about this class is that it gives us like hands-on skills that we usually don't learn in other classes like English. This is something we actually are gonna. So like the skills we learn in this class are really valuable because we learn to be hands-on, and later on we're gonna be homeowners, so we can fix a small problem we have in your house or something like that instead of paying somebody else to like work on it. So that's something really valuable for me.
I myself plan to actually get a summer job in construction, an apprenticeship, just so I can get more into it for after high school. That's kind of my plan, to get more into that career. And it also provides opportunity to go to a trade school, which would be very nice and useful. And it's a lot of great experience.
So in construction, we're usually on a 2 to 3 week rotation where you don't have to complete the project, but it's like you're working at your own pace. So depending on how good you are at it, but as long as you like learn something, and it's great. And also as like Sal said, we're all gonna be homeowners. So like in case a pipe breaks in your toilet or a hole in your wall or something, instead of paying someone like $100 just to come and fix it, just like you just need to get the material, which would be around like less than that, and you can fix it. It's a great way for you as a kid to learn like you know how to be an adult, because you have to take responsibility as a team. Because for our CTEs, we work as teams, and it's like always someone's doing one job and the other one's doing another. So communication is key in that part. I also want to bring up a point that's a great path. If you don't want to, like, you're undecided and you don't want to go to college or something, learning one of these trades will, you know, they're in big demand right now. So if you you don't master one, but like you're getting the hang of it, you could go to an apprenticeship and you can start working from there. And instead of, you know, some people like say they don't have enough money to pay for college, they could be doing this and getting paid for it, and like depending where they are, they'll pay for their schooling as well. So that's a great way for that.
So I'm going to ask you the next question, which is, what are some of your, and you started to speak a little bit to this, what are some of your future career college aspirations, and how has this experience helped either to illuminate that or pave that way for that next step in your life?
Yeah, so my sister yesterday called me a coffee snob because ever since I started working at Ground Up, I've actually just grown to love espresso beverages. And I remember like when I first had a sip of espresso, I thought it was like the most disgusting thing ever. And now like I don't think I've had my coffee yet, and you can see in that photo that I obviously like was not feeling it until I had my first Americano. Yeah, but most definitely. So I think I've just had like this large food service and hospitality background, and I really like, you know, in all of my college essays, I would always just emphasize the point of how much joy it brings me to brighten someone's day from a simple service such as like providing food or drink. You know, it's like so humble, but like it can mean so much to someone, especially like at the start of the day when you need that like a coffee, stayed up until 2 o'clock working on a marketing plan for Isabella Penga's class. But anyway, it's not but definitely Ground's giving me that opportunity to kind of pursue what I love, and you know, I like to be a people pleaser. I think people laugh, and so am I today. And I think this, and you know, I really do. I'm very passionate about coffee, especially when my earliest childhood memories are just making coffee for my dad in the morning when he would leave for his 5 a.m. Work shifts, like for Portland, when he paints cars in Portland. And I think that it's actually very much inspired me to pursue like my own coffee shop and open one in the future. Maybe not here, but I know, but you know, because we're starting this from the ground up. I think being able to bring the coffee shop model to a place that isn't Oregon, like maybe somewhere in the Midwest or somewhere where the market hasn't been tapped yet, it's just like really, like it sounds really fun to me. And I want to bring the joys that I get from working here and like the coffee industry here to somewhere else that may need it.
And I think, can you speak a little bit, you're wearing a shirt today and also some stickers.
Oh, yeah.
Can you show and share that?
Yeah, so most definitely. So I like to describe Ground Up as like a community unity project. So we have, you know, we're sourced, our products are sourced from Long Bottom, and we work for First Tech, and especially the Hillsborough School District. And in the Hillsborough School District, we work a lot with like all the other students. So like the shirt I'm wearing, this is my barista wear, by the way. So I know I'm not as dressed as nice as some of you guys, but this is my barista wear. So this shirt was made by a student at Elevaciona and Century High School. So we have like the neon, you know, and then it's really cool. And it just really incorporates a lot of the district coming together to produce all these things, such as like, you know, these stickers. So this logo is also made by her. We'll pass one of these out too, so you can put it on your car or something. Don't put it on your car, please don't. I stick one on the back of the folder, and that'd be, you know, like a little, it's cute, but yeah. So there's a lot of emphasis of, yes, schools, the programs coming together to create something amazing.
So how has your experience at Ground Up connected to your future career and college pathways?
Oh, well.
Your next step in life?
Well, I mean, like I said before, I'm really into the business pathway, and I really love business, you know. I feel like it was ever since I attended my first marketing class, and you know, on the first day my teacher says like, you know, a great goal in life is to one day have, you know, instead of working for your money, it's just to one day have your money work for you. And so, you know, that really inspired me to like, you know, I would like to start a business one day. And I think the great part about working in the coffee shop is that you get a real life experience to connect with people and just learn things, and also like be behind the scenes of a company. And actually, Mike, he comes in and he buys coffee from us, and like one thing I found crazy is, I don't know where he is, but he's like, oh, yeah, one thing crazy, he has never had a sip of coffee in his life, just it's crazy, he's never had a cup of coffee in his life. And I think the ability to connect with customers and then get to know them on a real life basis is really important to me, because one day if I want to start my own business, the ability to connect with the community and apply my knowledge and grow and expand something that I made myself is really important to me.
Awesome. Before we hear any final comments from our construction program, just one thing. So Ground Up, we started this year. It's a partnership with First Tech, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump. We have a community coffee shop that the reason the students name it Ground Up is they really started it from the ground up, and the play on the coffee grind as well. But they designed the marketing plan, the everyday operations in partnership with Melissa, had everything ready to go for the summer, and launched the business September 5th, I want to say, was our first day. So it really now has become a self-sustaining and funded program as well. All of the equipment either came from passing of Measure 98 as an expansion of career college pathways, so thank you for that, known as the Student Success Act, as well as the construction program was started from funding of Measure 98 as well, and then from Long Bottoms Coffee, and then Nike Innovative Fund. So in that partnership, our students are continuing to experience what it's like to design and run a business, and are now starting the recruitment of the next year's students as well, and creating a training plan of how to onboard those students for the following year. So there's a little bit about that. And continue. You have any final words?
Okay, so something interesting about construction is that I'm in the health sciences pathway, so going to construction, I think it opened up my eyes looking at career construction too, because I really want to start flipping houses. And with this, it's valuable information because it helps me know if I need to fix something, if I need to replace something that's not working, and well, it just helps me out, figure out like what I need to fix. And so whenever I start flipping houses, I can make more money with lower cost.
I just want to say that construction's a great class, because even though if you don't want to go through a pathway of any of that, it's always just good to know basic stuff about it, like fixing your house and everything, because it's a problem that's going to occur.
Yeah, like you were saying, it's really useful because maybe your friends can pay you to fix their house and stuff. So that's always nice. And if you actually go into this as a business, as they said earlier, you can get paid like $500 just to see what the problem is. And then that's just easy money, basically. And for me, after high school, I kind of want to more get into electrical, so it would be very fun. Yes, very much. I see you doing that.
So we have a few minutes left, and if there's any questions from the audience, well, look, good thing we're opening it up. So a couple of questions that the students can field. We have a little bit of time for that, and then we'll transition on.
So how many of you are thinking about going on to college? And if you're thinking about a 2-year degree, or are you looking at trades, or are you looking at a 4-year degree?
I myself am looking more towards a trade school than a 4-year college. And that's just kind of what I plan on doing.
For myself, I'm going to an apprenticeship program for construction.
I'm doing the same thing as Dan, but I'm also going to see if I can get an associate's degree, so I'm not just focused on one thing.
I'm going to be going to PCC for 2 years and then drafting to PSU, studying business. And yeah.
I got admitted to PSU, so I'm gonna go there next year. I'm gonna get a 4-year degree. I'm gonna major in human resource management and minor in small business. So I got that fallback plan in case my comp show isn't that good, but it's gonna go pretty good. So I hope.
Any other questions?
Oh, I have loud enough voice, so.
Okay.
Totally fine. Thank you so much for being here, and I really appreciate the conversation that we're having about, you know, the 2-year degree plan, the 4-year degree plan, as well as the trades. I have 2 boys, one that went to college pathways and a great teacher, and the other is in the trade business. So tell me if you kind of had that expectation when you started getting into this program. Did you realize about the dollars? Did you realize the types of careers that you would have an opportunity specifically in the trades?
I myself didn't really know much about how much money was involved in it, but it was something that I was interested in, and it was something I wanted to pursue. And like joining this class, I learned that you don't necessarily need the college degree to still have a good paying job.
And something interesting is that if you go into the trade route, you don't have to pay for college, you're not going to be in debt, you can just go straight into that, doing it, like you're going to have guaranteed jobs, they're going to train you, and then you're going to have a good job that pays a decent amount of money, and the demand is increasing right now because of the lack of trade people.
So you were mentioning, like towards money, we had a guest speaker from OEG Electrical come in once, and they brought up a good point for like just a residential electrician. After a 2.5-year apprenticeship program, he'd be making around like $27 an hour, and then plus like benefit package. So that's a great route too.
Oh, yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Hi. First of all, I want to say that this is such a great opportunity, and I actually just got a roofing quote from a former student, so it does everyone good. And then second of all, how many female classmates are in your programs? And from your guys' perspective, what can we do to increase that?
Well, in my class period, there's only about like 4 female classmates, and they really like the program, but I feel like it's hard to explain. Like I feel like it's not geared more towards women, so I feel like if we incorporate them and show them that a lot of people, or a lot of women are in construction, I feel like that would bring more people in.
Okay, so first at the coffee shop, we only had 1 female that was working with us, but now we've expanded to opening our shifts longer and recruiting people to work at later class periods. So we've actually recruited 2 more females to join our crew.
Out of how many? So 4 out of how many and 2 out of how many?
Alright, well there's 3, there's 3 now for us.
Out
So, like,
of
the
10
class-
employees. Yeah.
It's
3 out
like
of 10.
4 out of 20.
So something that please continue and share information to, because that's a great question and something that we're very focused on is how do we continue to expand communication information so that we do have balanced classes and gender representation in CTE. So a couple of efforts that we have had is 1, doing after-school CTE middle school programming for all of our schools this year. So middle school students were bused on Tuesdays and Thursdays and taught by high school students in all different career college pathway exploration at their feeder high school. So students showing students what it's going to be like to be in those programs. Both construction had an after-school program, and then also so did business and marketing programs as well, amongst many others. So that's one effort. The other one is what we've heard loud and clear from our Career College Pathway Steering Committee, which some of you are on, is how do we continue to get clear communication for students and families about the 65 programs that we have. So our efforts this year have been around creating 65 one-pagers that have information not only on the coursework, but different pathways to that industry, as well as the average financial, either hourly wage or yearly income of those programs. The next step is you'll see these hanging up in all of our high schools that are branded to their individual high schools, as well as some of our middles and our elementary schools will be hanging these up as well so that we can start reaching down and communicating with our students and families about what that pathway looks like for a student. The other way to access this information is we have all 65 of the one-pagers on our website under Career College Pathways. We're also in the process of translating all 65 into Spanish as well, so that will be posted shortly. But there is definitely an effort that we need from community, industry, families, and peers to be making sure that we do have the enthusiasm of speaking about these programs and making sure that we do have equal representation amongst these awesome opportunities for kids. So thank you for that, though. I just want to plug a little bit of what we're doing too as outreach.
From your discussion, all right? You guys want to start? Nope. Hold on one second. Okay, we're sharing one key thought per table. Go
How
ahead.
do we get our younger generations, pre-K, kindergarten, earlier to close the gap of the elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools, as you kind of shift down the higher education piece? So instead of saying teaching geometry as a junior, teaching it now as a sophomore, close that gap so they're educated into your system and moving forward. Maybe help close some of that dropout rate.
Thank you. Okay, how about back here?
Okay. We just talked a lot about how to continue to expand into real world experiences for kids. So whether it be early childhood, more CTE experiences, how those actual environments and real world experiences are so inspiring to kids moving forward and having them, kind of figure out their path.
Very good, thank you. Let's work our way back.
Well, one thing we discussed was the aspect of what is the impact of the bond to the student and how do they feel about that, and their knowledge. And we were just speaking with our student and asking her how much she knew about it. And she said it was kind of news to her a little bit, and then we were just talking about her experiences with larger classrooms and things like that, how that has affected their whole school. So it was our takeaway of if we when or how you contact your legislator, getting also the stories of the students and how that impact, not just this data, which is great, but a student's perspective along with the data. And someone mentioned a splashing of cards to the legislators that they had done at an activity at a prior meeting. So.
Thank you.
There's the opportunities that Ben has now at Hillsborough School District are really great, and he's very excited about what he's going to do. And asked, if these programs weren't around, what would he do? And so he has a plan B, but he's very passionate and looking forward to plan A. And so I think that's what we got to fund, Jenny. Are the plan A's, and let them reach their dreams, and they have to do it from high school.
Well, I would say it's really stay hungry for knowledge, and also facilitate the idea that success has more than one meaning, and it's in the eyes of whoever is dictating what their success is. And that there's many ways to achieve success, more than just college. You have trade schools and just other things like that.
Thank you. How about up here?
We were lucky enough to have Daniel sitting here with us, and I think we kind of collectively talked about how some of us got into our careers and our professions and what we've done, and how you learn what you like and what you don't like, and what you're good at and what you may not be very good at. And sometimes you fall into what you're doing, and other times you stayed the path the whole time. And I think the opportunity for Daniel to know as a senior that he's like to go into an apprenticeship program and get to work and be exposed more to the construction industry, and then be able to find exactly what he enjoys doing the most is a good opportunity we need to keep fostering. And it's pretty neat to sit here at an individual level and hear somebody who's going through it. So,
Thanks, Matt.
We kind of covered three different areas, first of which is in regard to the advocacy piece. We tend to put experts in front of the legislature. That's your expert. And that story needs to be told, but we also talked about the fact that it needs to be dripped to the legislature and those committees on a consistent basis, not in one day late in the session when there's too many budgetary things that are going on, but we got to get them in there early, and we've got to keep them in there. And then I think John's going to be meeting with one of his legislators, and he looked at the chart here. Objective data is critical. My hat, quite frankly, is off to the Hillsborough School District. You've done a marvelous job of being accountable to the community, to the bond measures, and to the data, and keep that passion up. And finally, we talked about the bigger issue, which is one of funding. At the end of the day, the dollars are going to have to come from somebody. And so we all talk about we have to. Well, guess what? Is that us as individuals or is that businesses? And we talked about kind of that tension that's going to be going on, because at some point something's got to crack to move us beyond where we are today. And so that's going to take tension, tough conversations, and there's going to be some losers and there's going to be some winners.
We had the opportunity to talk to Saul, and I was really excited to hear about that there are many opportunities in the career and college pathway, and super excited to hear that in his particular unit that they are working to become self-sustainable, so that we don't have to worry about the money funding it, that it can start to fund itself. And I think that's really smart business, and it's really exciting to see our youth be part of that.
Which brings up a great point that they didn't mention, is that Glencoe construction program is making dog houses, right? Making dog houses that you're going to be selling at the Proud to be HSD Festival, and or at least taking orders for them. So if anybody has a dog and would like a custom built dog house made by our very own students, please check that out at Proud to be HSD Festival, coming to you on Saturday, May 11th in downtown Hillsborough.
Nice job. That was pretty good. Janine, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just want to say I thank you so much for these comments. You will not find a bigger fan about CTE in our schools, and the partnerships that we have with our chamber are just unbelievable. The thing that we haven't talked about, and I'm not saying that we talk about this right now, but it is something that we need to address, is our students' mental health supports that are needed, because we're seeing a lot of situations in our classrooms and things that are happening because our students are facing a lot of trauma and serious conditions in their lives that are affecting their learning, and that does affect our school budget. So that is something that we need to continue to talk about, not only for our students but for our staff members as well. And I can't reiterate enough about the coming to talk to your legislators. Students, please pass along that next on Saturday at 12:30, Susan McLean and I are having a student speak event where we're just having. This is okay. So no, not tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sorry. Forget what day this week this is. But on Saturday at 12:30 at PCC Willow Creek. To come and just have a conversation as to what it is that you want to hear legislators talk about. You want to share with your legislators. We're going to do that Facebook Live as well. And there's also several legislators that will be April 5th on a Friday from 6 to 8 at Brown Middle School will be the Latinx Community Town Hall. So Latinx, I'm sorry, I knew I said that. So please come and share thoughts and be present.
I'd also like to say that tomorrow, Saturday, at 11 o'clock, the chair of the Senate Revenue Committee, who is a senator that has turf in HSD, Senator Mark Has, is having a Meet His Constituent session. 11 to 12 tomorrow at the Beaverton City Library. Senator Mark Has, he's probably one of the single most important people in terms of if there's revenue to be had to fund K12 adequately, it's going to be Senator Mark Has, going to be a key player in that discussion. So I encourage everybody to show up at the Beaverton City Library tomorrow at 11 o'clock and let the Senator know what your priorities are.
Any other commercials? I really appreciate all of you being here, and as I think Martin just illustrated from comments you heard from Kim, our board is incredibly active with our legislators and getting the word out about our needs, and we would appreciate any assistance that you could provide as well. Thanks for your commitment to our school district and for being here today. We appreciate it. Thanks.